The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hey everyone, this is Rose Daly, the City Sustainability Coordinator of Sun Prairie, and you're listening to the Sustainable Sun Prairie Podcast, the show that aspires to educate, empower, and engage our listeners in all aspects of sustainability. Whether you are a seasoned sustainability enthusiast or just beginning your sustainability journey, each episode will have something new and exciting for everyone. Let's begin the conversation for a greener community. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're uncovering a game-changing opportunity for homeowners, renters, and contractors in Wisconsin, the Focus on Energy Homes program. There are currently millions of dollars on the table to support energy efficiency upgrades in Wisconsin, and we're here to walk you through exactly how you can take advantage of this incredible opportunity. Joining me today are two guests who have been deep in the weeds of bringing the Homes program to life in Wisconsin. Dylan Crye with Focus on Energy and Joe Pater with the Wisconsin Public Service Commission. Dylan, Joe, welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Rose. Yeah, thank you for having us. We're excited.
Yeah, me too. Could each of you introduce yourselves and briefly share your entity's connection to the Homes program?
Yeah, absolutely. So Dylan Crye, I'm currently the IRA Programs Manager for Focus on Energy. I've been with Focus on Energy for about 7 years now. Was a residential portfolio manager for a few years, working with all of our residential programs. And then over the past year, I moved into this IRA Program Manager's role. And been working with a small but mighty team the past year to stand up our two IRA programs.
And I'm Joe Pater. I'm the Director of the Office of Energy Innovation at the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin. And our office primarily has two roles and responsibilities. The first is to perform all the state energy office work. So by statute, there's a number of things that our office is responsible for. And then we also intake federal funding through that office. So anything coming from DOE to the state of Wisconsin typically involves that state energy office team. And then we also provide oversight for the Focus on Energy program, which is Wisconsin's statewide efficiency, or I should say energy efficiency and renewable energy resource program. And the combination of that work is why we're, what brought all of this together in the first place.
Amazing. So I think we should jump right in and let's provide a high-level overview of the Homes program. Could you tell us more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Homes program, again, is one of the two IRA Home Energy Rebate programs that are coming through the State Energy Office. The Homes program isn't quite an acronym. It does actually is the stand-in for the Home Efficiency Rebates program. And so instead of trying to get that mouthful out every single time, the federal government said we're going to call this the Homes program. And so what is it? It's a performance-based whole home rebate. And so when we say whole home, we're generally not targeting just a specific upgrade like our HVAC system or the insulation in the walls. We are looking at the home as a whole system. And so it's a whole home rebate, and it's also performance-based, meaning that there are additional rebate dollars available the more we can save in the home.
Okay. So higher energy efficiency equals more money in rebates.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Yep. We all love that.
Yep. And so the Homes program, each of these projects do require an energy assessment up front, so we can talk about that in a bit more detail later. The work does need to be performed by an IRA registered contractor. And then this is for existing homes only. So some of our programs are for new construction, but the Homes program is specifically for existing homes.
Okay, makes sense. So it's my understanding that the state of Wisconsin has been allocated nearly $150 million to establish this home energy rebate program. I'm curious to know where these dollars came from and if other states can expect an allocation as well.
Yeah, so the Inflation Reduction Act is the source of these funds, and that law was signed on August 16th, 2022 by President Joe Biden. And you're right that Wisconsin's allocation in total is $150 million, and it's split about 50-50, $75 million for the Homes program, and then $75 million for the HERE, or Home Electrification program. And so that's, kind of the split. All the states received an allocation. There's only one state so far that has declined it, and that's South Dakota. And it seems as though most states are progressing quickly toward something, whether it's one of the two programs or a slice or a pilot, whatever it might be. For us in Wisconsin, we saw this as a really good opportunity to move quick because there's an existing program platform in place by Focus on Energy, which is supported by our state utilities here, and it's well known and it existed, and all the background policies and infrastructure was in place. The challenge, of course, was that we couldn't just simply assume that that was the right direction. We had to bring it to our commission and prepare a series of questions for them so that they can make some decisions on whether or not the Focus program was the appropriate vehicle.
Right.
And there was a lot of public support for that. And it ended up that they did decide to grant approval to do so. And that's kind of how we got to the place we are.
That's really great. And correct me if I'm wrong, but state of Wisconsin is the first in the country to establish this program, right?
That's correct.
Well, congratulations to both of your
Thank
entities
you.
for that big accomplishment.
Yeah, we were pretty proud of that. It's a nice feather in the cap. So.
It was an amazing team effort. Like we had some really great players in the room consistently, really like going to bat for the best possible program design. And like when something didn't seem right, stopping the process and asking questions like, this doesn't feel like the right way to go here. Let's step back. And there was a willingness by all parties, I mean, everybody who was involved, to really take that approach. And I think that's what helped.
Yeah. Yeah, and Focus on Energy, Wisconsin's one of the few states that has a program like Focus on Energy. It's a statewide program like that. And so we were really set up to just kind of out of the gate have a leg up on a lot of other states as far as getting the homes program stood up in particular. What we do with Focus on Energy is kind of been built on this other program, Home Performance with Energy Star, which we're a sponsor of. And so the homes program was really built on top of that. And so a lot of kind of the groundwork that we needed was already in place. And so, lucky for us here in Wisconsin, we had Focus on Energy.
That's so great. You guys were born for this.
That's right.
So like you guys said, Focus on Energy for many years now has been providing energy efficiency rebates to Wisconsin customers. So for example, I saw on the website today that there is a $50 rebate for installing an Energy Star smart thermostat in a house, $525 in rebates for attic insulation, things like that. So what makes the homes rebates different from these other rebates Focus on Energy offers?
Yeah, so Focus on Energy, as we were kind of just alluding to, right, is a great program. It's been around for over 20 years, but it is a participating utility program. And so that means that any of the funds coming into the program do need to go back to the ratepayers who paid in. And so that does limit a little bit of who or what we can necessarily help out. And so these homes rebates are different in that it is all homeowners, all residents in the state. Not homeowners, all residents. Renters can participate as well. So that's fantastic. And then we can also address other types of heating fuel, which maybe we couldn't always address with Focus on Energy. So something like propane or fuel oil, or if someone happens to heat with a wood stove. Traditionally, Focus on Energy wouldn't have been able to help them out because they weren't necessarily paying into the Focus program for us to provide them rebates. These home programs are different. We get to help everyone in the state, and so that's been fantastic.
Being able to offer, like, that's so powerful. And it just, I think what it's doing is it's causing us to, like the contractor network itself, it has to expand to kind of really encourage all residents to at least look at this program. Like, there should be no reason you shouldn't look.
Yeah.
Check it out. Maybe it's the right fit for you, maybe it's not, but at least look at it. Tell your neighbors about it. Spread the word. And this is the first time we can confidently say every single Wisconsinite, every single one should look at this program. No questions. Every single one should go to the webpage and just learn about it for 5 minutes.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I love how wide-reaching this is, because I remember when I used to look at the Focus on Energy map for Wisconsin, there'd always be like a few communities where the utility hadn't signed on, but that's not in their control. And, so there's like an equity issue, but I do like that this is open to everyone. And
we've had we should mention too that the co-ops that don't participate in the program, they run their own programs, and they really are, they run great programs.
Okay.
And they're proud of them, and that it's a requirement that they have to do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes they run their own programs because it's just the way it's always been. And, inertia to some extent. But they know the focus program is there to support when needed. And this is the first time where we could really literally say, more than support, the money's here too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's causing us to develop new relationships with those co-ops, which is really cool.
That's awesome. So lots of wins with this program on all
Lots.
different levels.
Yes, very much.
All right. So we've already kind of been talking about how everyone should check out the website, review the information. Everyone's eligible for this. But why should Wisconsin residents participate in the HOMES program? What is if you had to sell this to me, what would you tell me?
Yeah, it's interesting. So energy efficiency is one of the very few things I would say in a home that you can invest in that is going to end up paying you back for that investment, right? We think about, I want some new countertops, or I want to remodel my bathroom. And some of that, sure, you might get back in resale value, but it's never going to be 100%. Energy efficiency is something where we can put money in up front, and then we're actually reducing our bills. And so what that does is it creates a return on investment. And oftentimes, we're going to be positive after the lifetime of that upgrade. So energy efficiency is just a fantastic thing to pursue for a number of reasons. We've got the bill cost savings, right? It's a good financial move. We're often going to be more comfortable in the home. We're going to have cleaner indoor air if we're keeping pollutants out of the home. Maybe we can reclaim some rooms that maybe were too cold in the winter that we weren't able to use, or perhaps we can partially finish the basement, and now we've got a rec room downstairs that the kids can play in. So there's a ton of benefits to energy efficiency. I'll also just say it's one of the few jobs, I suppose, that is kind of by definition like a local job. Like you can't outsource someone coming to install your new furnace or the insulation in your attic. Like that has to be almost always a local company or at least a regional company that's going to come in and do that.
Okay.
So it's really,
It empowers the local community.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
what it really is. Let's get to work. Let's upgrade these homes.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
Yeah. So
For
it's
sure.
really kind of that win-win-win all around.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we see economy hopefully growing locally, indoor air quality, lower bills. We all love that. I love the examples of just having better comfort in your house. I've had rooms as well that are too cold to use, and it's great that we could solve that problem while earning money back on our electricity bills. That is amazing. And Joe, you've hinted at this a little bit earlier, but are there any other groups of people who will really benefit from this program besides the homeowners and renters?
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful business opportunity for contractors who are in the business of doing work in the residential setting. This is a wonderful stimulus to that work. We expect there to be a lot of leads out there. In fact, as of today, I think we're over 700 qualified households. Those are qualified households who are qualified to do work in this program, and in some cases could be approved for the very maximum amount, and therefore represent business opportunity for a contractor. They're thinking, what am I going to do to expand my business? Well, here it is. This is it. And I think the nice opportunity too for contractors who are ahead of the curve on this is that it's not as though there are thousands of qualified contractors. We're verging on close to 100.
Okay.
But we need closer to 500.
Wow.
So we're in the very early stages. And if a contractor is out there right now seeing this and saying to themselves, wow, this is a business opportunity, this is exciting for me, I should go after this, now is the time to do it. Don't wait a year, don't wait 2 years. Do it now. Get into the queue, get approved, and the exciting thing is that 700 qualified households or whatever it is today, that's going to continue to grow.
Oh, for sure.
So I think for contractors, it's probably that. But then I think also about other organizations in the community. And, we, for example, in the program design process, we really we're kind of bumping up against this idea of we could design a really wonderful program. But if you can't get the qualified households that you're really targeting, the ones who really need this work, if you can't get them to come forward and say, I'm ready, I want to do this, how do you ever actually achieve anything? Mm-hmm. So we realized we needed something to take our message deeper into the community. So we brought the idea to the commission, and we said, we're thinking about allocating funding to support community-based organizations to actually go into the neighborhoods and to go, walk the block, maybe talk to residents who are outside, go down to the grocery store and have a table, talk to people at the church, like have real conversations with folks over coffee about this program, knowing that if they could educate the people in the community, through trusted voices, it'd be more likely people say, yeah, I now know about this, and I'll take the time to put in my application. Next thing you know, I got somebody coming over to do the energy assessment, and a month later, my house is upgraded. Mm-hmm. Like, that is a wonderful story arc. So we think that the community-based organizations, they're going to be the ones who find those community members who can really ride that story arc and like, wow, my house is upgraded. Holy smokes, it feels better in here. My energy bills are lower and air quality is improved. This was a win.
Yeah.
So I think the combination of those pieces is what we're most excited about.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm already thinking of the Sun Prairie Neighborhood Navigators. I think they would be a great group to spread this information. And like you said, when our community members are interacting with those trusted, smaller organizations that are closer to home, I think that's the best way to share information and get that buy-in that we need.
Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I would say there are kind of two other larger groups really that these funds are targeting. Low-income homes. And so that's one that traditionally, Focus on Energy hasn't always been able to offer, really, really large rebates. There's certain rules and things we have to follow there in the way that program was designed. And then we've got the weatherization assistance programs in Wisconsin, and those are fantastic too. Those are run through the Department of Administration with federal dollars to help folks below 60% state median income improve their homes. But we've kind of got this almost a missing middle a little bit here of maybe you don't quite qualify for weatherization, but maybe the focus rebates weren't quite enough to get you to move forward on a project. We've got some larger rebates in these homes programs, in this homes program to really help address that first cost barrier, where someone just simply can't get the funds together to pay for the project up front, even though we talked about it's going to pay you back in the end. You're going to be net positive on most of these things that we're talking about installing here. But if the cash up front isn't there, then you can't move forward.
Right.
So we do have specific budget carve-outs for our low-income households, which is fantastic, right, to be able to help those folks. And then there is an expectation as well that we are reaching out to more Justice 40 communities.
Amazing.
And so, we do have a target in our budget to hit those groups as well. And so a lot of what Joe was talking about with the CBOs that we have, I hopefully we'll be working with. We're still in the process figuring out who exactly those will be. But that they will be able to help reach out to these specific communities that maybe haven't been able to traditionally been able to participate in Focus or really were kind of just right above the hump and not able to participate in the weatherization assistance programs.
Mm-hmm.
That is great. I love how comprehensive this program is and that it's like bridging all those gaps that we previously had seen when it comes to energy efficiency upgrades. Joe, I want to go back to talking about contractors. So you said that there's currently 100 registered contractors. We want to get that up to 500. Yeah. What does it take to become an IRA registered contractor?
Yeah, well, there's a very simple process. So if the contractor is already set up as a Focus trade ally, they're going to go on to the Focus website and say, I also want to become an IRA registered contractor. And that's necessary because the Department of Energy has special terms and conditions that they need to agree to. And if the contractors never worked with Focus, they simply just have to apply to work in the IRA program with Focus. And it's very much a concierge process, meaning that the contractor literally has somebody that can speak with on the phone if they had questions or they're not sure how to handle something. And we take a lot of time to spend time educating and like really training them on how do you properly communicate this program, what are the boundaries, what process and policies you need to make sure you follow in your work with the customer, and what are the basic requirements of their participation. And our goal is that the contractor is so well educated on the whole thing that they can sit down with the homeowner and give them an experience that feels more seamless. So instead of the contractor offering, there's 35 different things we could do.
Right.
It's more of like it's like we want the contractor to be prepared to tailor the right thing for this homeowner, so that it's a relatively simple decision. This is what we're recommending you do, X, Y, Z. Do you want to move forward? And the contractor in these situations, they have a direct relationship with Focus on Energy. So, the way, or I guess I should say, I'll end up by saying part of the requirements for the contractor to get registered is just simply that they acknowledge that responsibility and those requirements, and that they're going to follow them, because we're going to be watching, and ensuring that these funds are appropriately expended and done so in an extremely efficient manner, meaning we know, our planning team took a lot of time thinking about how these funds are finite. They're not enough. It's just simply not going to be enough to do every house. But how do we make these funds do the most possible homes that we could possibly do? And that's by being super efficient in our policies, procedures, and really pulling the contractor in as I am vested in this program. This is my business opportunity. I'm going to follow the rules. I'm going to give the customer that wonderful, streamlined experience, and we're going to get some projects done. And they're part of Focus on Energy, just like Dylan, just like me, or anybody who works on our team. The contractor is part of that team.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love all the education and training going into this as well, and really empowering contractors to be providing such great services and rebates to these residents of Wisconsin. That is great.
Yeah, we have tried to make it as simple as we can to become a registered contractor for IRA. I do want to point out that we've got a very expansive list of contractors with Focus on Energy called Trade Allies, that we already have this entire network across the state to deliver our programs. And so that list still exists. And if you want to participate in Focus on Energy, definitely work with one of our Trade Ally contractors. And as Joe had mentioned earlier, there are some additional federal requirements to deliver these IRA homes programs. And so we did have to create a separate list. And so just wanted to point out that a Focus Trade Ally is often, can be a registered contractor, but it's probably a smaller list that will be on the registered contractor list. And so we do just want to make sure that if you're looking to work with someone, that you're finding the right list. We do have two right now, right? There's the Focus Trade Ally list, and then we have a registered contractor list, and that's just one of the requirements that we had to follow for federal reasons. But there are two different lists out there, so just want to make sure folks are aware of that. And then one more point here about how to become an IRA registered contractor and kind of the resources available. So we do have energy advisors in the field that work with all of our contractors to support them for Focus. It's those same energy advisors that will be supporting our registered contractors. And there are some additional requirements of these programs of contractors, and that's all laid out in the participation agreement. And so, to have access to these federal dollars, we do need to make sure some things are happening. But the federal government also decided to provide some additional funding as well in the form of contractor training grants. And so, Joe, I don't know if you wanted to touch on real quickly the TRIC dollars.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Dylan. There will be a competitive funding opportunity, most likely in 2025. I say most likely because the commission has to decide on when this is going to move forward. But that's what we think, and those dollars will be available for contractor, I should say, work related to the expansion of the contractor network. So bringing more people into the contractor network, training them up, giving them the tools necessary to, provide the services. So those monies will be available next year. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. There's more money available around every corner. Now that we have a basic understanding of the HOMES program, you guys have given a lot of great information. I want to really dive into the process behind it now. And I think it'd be the easiest to do this through the lens of a homeowner participating in the program. So for this scenario, let's assume I'm a homeowner in Dane County, and I am part of a family of 4, and I'm interested in participating in the HOMES program. What are the first steps I need to take?
Yeah, so there are a number of steps in the process, very beginning to very end. But really, what a customer needs to know today is that there's kind of 3 things they're going to have to go through to kind of get the process started. The first is going to be income qualification. And so for homes, we do have 3 different income levels for households. There's low, moderate, and then a higher income bracket. To access the low and the moderate income tiers, a household does need to go through our qualification process. So if that's something you're interested in, you think you would qualify for, definitely go through that process. We have tried to make it, again, as easy as we could. There is an online application for that, online portal. We will either request some proof of your income if you've got your tax statements, or alternatively, we've been given the opportunity to ask for enrollment in a number of programs that have already checked your income, essentially. So something like Medicaid, or if you've participated in LIHEAP or other kind of assistance programs. SNAP is a good one. Yeah, thank you.
There's 12 of them. So
oh, wow.
I guess if you are kind of listening in on this, it is actually really simple. If you're in any of those programs, you're just basically telling us so and providing. You may have to provide some documentation in some cases, but we've actually taken a lot of time to set up a process in the back end where in some of the programs we don't even need you to provide documentation. We just need to know who you are.
Okay.
And we have a way to just verify.
That's super handy, because
So-
I know like a lot of people sometimes they don't want to
Sometimes it's a
disclose that
pain.
information. Yeah, or it's a headache to do it for sure.
Yeah.
Or to find some letter,
Right.
And so if someone opts to not, then they would qualify for the higher income rebates. So
Okay.
everyone's eligible. You just kind of, if you don't want to go through that income process, you just get the smallest rebate available to you.
Okay, but still a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. There's still a rebate there for you. Absolutely. So income qualification is step 1. Step 2 is then, if you have gone through income qualification, we're going to send you a letter and just to verify, yep, you've qualified for this amount. Or if you haven't, in either case, we're going to say, okay, now it's time to go find a contractor to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So for homes, you are going to have to find a primary contractor. They're essentially going to be your kind of general contractor, and they're going to be with you to hold your hand through the whole process. And so this contractor will then also help you find an energy assessor. They may be one themselves, or they may work with one. But the very first step in our kind of project, now that we've kind of gotten qualified, right, and know what we're eligible for, we found a contractor. Now we want to start looking at the house, and so we need to get an energy assessment done.
Right.
And so you do need to work with a qualified energy assessor, one that is on our list, but your primary contractor can help you do that, or you can find one yourself as well on our website.
Okay. Can you share a bit more about the energy assessment? I would like to know why it's a required step, what does it entail for a homeowner, and what could the results of a home energy assessment look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of mentioned this earlier, but the energy assessment really does take a look at the home as a full system. And so we're not just looking at, the HVAC with the ductwork and the furnace, or just the water heater, how the air moves through the house. We're looking at all of these things kind of in concert and how they interact with one another. So an energy assessment is going to identify areas in our home that could be, causing drafts or discomfort, right? We're talking about maybe we've got that bonus room or space in the house that we just can't use anymore. Why do we have high energy bills? Or, do we have some indoor air quality concerns? And so your energy assessor is going to walk through your entire house and kind of note what they're seeing, right? The condition of things, and also noting opportunities for improvement. And so once they finish that assessment, and they'll also, potentially use some great tools that you might see them use. So one is the blower door. We call that the big red door. They actually open up your front door and they put a big red tarp, essentially, right? It's more complicated than that, but a big red tarp with a giant fan on it. And that actually allows them to depressurize the entire house. And so then it's really easy to find air leakage, spots where air is coming in through the house. So a good opportunity to seal things up.
Yeah, I remember the first time we had a blower door test, I was like, this seems like a very unsophisticated technique.
Yeah.
But I mean, as soon as they turned the fan on, they told us, walk around your house, put your hand up by windows and by doors, and you can feel the air coming in. And those were drafts we didn't know existed until that test.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard to find those things, right? You can't see them, but you can start to feel them. And actually, so your assessors will often also have a smoke stick, so you actually can start to see where the drafts are coming in and how intense they are. So the blower door test is great. You may or may not receive one. It's not a requirement of this particular program. It is a good tool to use, but it does take a little more time and effort for an assessor to go through that process to set that up and test with that equipment. Another piece of equipment you might see them using is an infrared camera, which is really cool. So it's showing the temperatures of things, right? The window and the wall around it, and it's great at identifying areas of the home where maybe we're missing insulation. It's funny to see sometimes, you'll see a wall and you'll see the bays of the wall, and in between the wall, the joists, there's just a whole spot they missed insulation. And you would never know. Yeah, you would never know that, right? Looking at the wall, it's got paint and drywall.
And that could be significant.
Yeah,
It could
absolutely.
be like a huge sort of
Yeah,
loss.
so IR cameras are awesome. So hopefully you'll see them using those as well. So after they've done all of their assessment, right, they've kind of looked around the house, they've taken photos, maybe done a blower door test. They're going to take that back and they're going to input all of this information into a software. And that software is going to run a model, and then they're going to output a report. And so in that report is going to be a bunch of recommendations. Hopefully they've spoken with the homeowner of the types of things the homeowner is interested in upgrading. And based on that report, we're going to have an estimated energy savings percentage.
Awesome.
And so that's kind of the first 1, 2, and 3 steps of income qualification, finding a contractor, and getting an energy assessment.
Okay. I definitely see the value then in doing the energy assessment, which, it's probably going to cost a little bit of money, take a little time, but then you will have a full laundry list of all the upgrades you need to do in your home to improve energy efficiency, which I would love to see that. I'm not a homeowner right now, but that's something I want to have. I can have my list of projects all laid out.
Yeah, and that is, so we had talked about our energy assessors and having our having focus on energy and our contractor trade allies, and we really have cultivated this group of contractors that are very experienced in providing things like energy assessments, and we've really relied on them to deliver our programs for the past 20 plus years. And so when you find an energy assessor and they are walking through the house, hopefully they're talking to you and asking you questions about different aspects of the house. But they're also there to educate you as well, right? And so as they're walking through, they can be asking you questions. Is this a room that's uncomfortable, or what do you think about how old is your water heater? Are you thinking about getting a new one? And so a lot of that's going to be in the conversation back and forth. But then in the report, they'll also provide, these are the things that they maybe recommend that you do, the things that the homeowner has maybe said that they're interested in upgrading. So yeah, that report is a very useful tool. And then I guess just in general, taking a step back, how would I know what to do if I didn't have an energy assessor in the house with me? And there's a fairly simple order of operations that we try to follow. And so building science would say, we want to address the shell of the building first, sometimes also called the envelope of the building. So that's going to be our insulation and our air sealing in the walls, in the attic, down in the basement space. And so once we get that all tightened up, then we can start looking at stuff like our HVAC equipment. And the really nice thing about doing the shell first is that once we tighten that up and get a great amount of insulation in there, oftentimes we can actually go with smaller HVAC equipment, saving us some money in that area.
Right.
And it's just going to run more efficiently and provide better heating and cooling and comfort throughout the house. Then looking at appliances, stuff like the big energy users are going to be our fridge and freezer. Those usually suck up quite a bit of energy. There's been a ton of gains in the last decade or so on efficiency of those equipment. So if you've got any fridge or freezer, right? Maybe we've got the meat freezer down in the basement or two.
Yeah.
We see that sometimes. Making sure you've got an upgraded unit there is a great idea. Our water heaters, that's another really big energy user in the home. And those usually, if you're sitting at 8 years, you're almost on borrowed time, right? And you're looking at that thing might be failing a little sooner than later. And who wants to deal with, a failed water heater?
And speaking on the water heater too, there's so much technology in them now. Like it allows you, you can have app control. So, you're rolling down the road on the way to vacation for a week, and you're like, did we shut down the water heater or did we turn it down to vacation mode? No, you forgot. Mm-hmm. But hey, pull it up on an app, push a button, your water heater now adjusts. Like I think that's those are the simple modern things that come with some of these upgrades.
For sure.
That people appreciate,
Yeah.
I've done that. Yeah, a couple
Have
times.
you done that?
Oh yeah. Yep, I got a heat pump water heater. Yep, I use the app.
Love that.
Yeah.
I have like a smart oven. So,
yeah.
I mean, hopefully you don't leave
Ooh.
your oven on.
Wait,
but
do you never burn anything? Do you never burn anything because you get like a notification? Exactly.
I don't think it's that smart, but it will tell me when my food's done cooking.
That's smart.
That's nice.
No, that's
For sure.
smart. I mean,
I wish it would be like, oh, it's getting crispy in here.
Yeah.
Time to pull out your cake.
Yeah. Well, we've all burnt a pizza or two, right?
yes,
For sure.
I burned a few pizzas.
Yeah.
Damn, the pizza's burned again.
So going back to this, so start with the shell, do those upgrades, which I think are upgrades people don't commonly think about. I think they're like, well, let's upgrade my systems. My water heater's getting old. My HVAC isn't working. I think people commonly are upgrading those, which is good, but you won't see the full impact till you do that shell upgrade. So I think that's a super important part of this.
I think the one thing though, like we should also say, is that there are a lot of homes that have been built in the last 10, 15 years that, they may not need significant insulation upgrades because they have good insulation today and they're already sealed up. Now,
Absolutely.
is there a need for some sealing around, you have to maintain your windows by making sure they're caulked and properly sealed. Same with doors, same with skylights. But some homes are not going to need a huge insulation upgrade. And I think that's important for folks to know that, like, if your house doesn't need that, there are other things you can consider, including getting to the point of saying, let's put solar on the roof.
For sure.
That's the coolest, let's just do it. It's time. 30% tax credit.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice. And Focus on Energy will give an incentive as well. So while solar is not specifically part of homes, just to be clear, solar is not in this program. It is being run in parallel. Those programs are being run in parallel, and a homeowner could say, I'm going to do this homes project. There's money here from Focus on Energy. I'm going to go after this with my contractor. We're going to figure it out. But, on the side, I'm going to also talk to a solar contractor and get a quote on solar. And we always recommend 3 quotes on solar.
Okay.
You should never move forward with one. You need to get 3. And we say that because it's important to get different perspectives.
Yeah.
When we talk about solar, there's a lot of different ways you can go. You can be really aggressive. You can be very conservative. You can protect against squirrels, for example, or not have to protect against squirrels. And when you get 3 quotes on solar, you're able to get 3 separate, unique perspectives. And you as the homeowner are the final decision maker, or the resident, you're the final decision maker. You heard all 3 stories. You make the call on which path to go based on that information. So that's, I think, really key for us to put out there as well.
For sure.
For
That's
those
really good
considering
advice. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's get back to that scenario. So let's say my family of 4 in Dane County goes through the income qualification process, and we find out that our household income is approved as moderate income, or between 80% and 150% area median income based on our area. So we get our income approved. Then we hire the IRA registered contractor, and they conduct their energy assessment of our home. Just some background for the scenario. Our house was built in the 60s. It's a bit drafty, kind of cold in the winter, and our furnace and air conditioning system are over 20 years old. So with that information, and based on their assessment, our energy assessor recommended that we upgrade our insulation and our HVAC system. And based on the model that you guys had said they run their energy model, they found that this will have an energy savings of 25%. So that's our scenario, and Dylan helped me make this scenario, and I think this is semi-realistic. It could be. It's not something crazy we put out there. And my contractor quotes this work at $12,000 for the HVAC upgrade and the insulation upgrade. So can you guys tell me that if I decide to move forward with those upgrades, what types of home rebates can I expect in terms of dollar amount and which category they fall in? And also, are there any other rebates I could stack on top of these to make the value, financial value, even greater?
Yeah, absolutely. Great thing about this homes program is that it can stack with Focus on Energy, and it can stack with the tax credits, the 25C tax credits. For energy efficiency. So, I'll throw out some numbers here. I've tried to round them to make it easier to follow on the radio. And just for reference, so, we're here in Sun Prairie, that's in Dane County in Wisconsin. Our income levels for homes is based on the number of occupants in the home. And so you had said a family of 4, right? And so in Dane County in 2024, a household of 4, our moderate income upper band is $188,850. So if your income's below that, and you can prove that to us, then you are eligible for these moderate income level rebates. And also for reference, perhaps you're looking at the low income band. Same household of 4, low income in Dade County, $97,800. So just to throw a couple numbers out there for listeners, if that's helpful.
And the key there for the listener is that if they're under those numbers, they're going to qualify for the larger incentives.
Yep. All right, so back to our household of 4. We'll say your household, right?
Mm-hmm.
Household of 4. So a household that qualifies for moderate income can receive 50% of project costs up to, there's 2 different numbers in a total project rebate. And it's going to be either $2,000 or $4,000 for a moderate income family. If the project can save more than 20%, then they're going to be eligible for that first tier of $2,000. If they can save 35% or more, they're going to be eligible for the higher amount, which is $4,000 in this case. So we said your project has an energy savings, estimated savings of 25%.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that your family would be eligible for a $2,000 rebate. Or really, 50% of $12,000 is $6,000, right?
Right.
But we are capped by that $2,000 limit.
Okay.
So that's $2,000 for the IRA programs. There are also then some focus programs, and so Sun Prairie Utilities, and I'm assuming, is it MG&E or We Energies here, or Alliant perhaps as the gas provider here in Sun Prairie.
We
We
as
Energies.
gas.
We
Yeah.
as gas.
We as gas, but Alliant and Sun Prairie Utilities covers Sun Prairie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your utilities are participating in Focus, which is great. So you
Mhm.
have access to those insulation and air sealing rebates, as well as if we said we're doing the HVAC system, there are some furnace discounts as well. So I've kind of just taken a rounded number here and said, for simplicity, let's just say you're getting $2,000 from Focus on Energy for the various things that you're looking to install. So now we've got that $12,000 project cost.
Mm-hmm.
We've taken off $2,000 for the IRA. We've taken off $2,000 for Focus, and that leaves us with an $8,000 project cost, which is
That's not bad.
not bad, right? And then there's actually one more piece that we get to think about, and that is the tax credit. So we can take 30% of project cost or qualified costs. They do vary a little bit. Definitely need to check out the tax credit language if you want to take advantage of that. But generally, it's 30% of costs, up to $1,200 per year for certain equipment. And some other equipment, actually, like heat pumps and heat pump water heaters, you can get an extra $2,000 on top of that $1,200.
Wow.
So definitely something to take a look at. So all said, right, our $12,000 project, we've got $2,000 off, plus $2,000 off, plus another $1,200 in our tax credit. We've got almost 50% of the project costs covered for this project that you want to do. It's going to save you 25% in energy. It's going to reduce our utility bills, right? We're getting all the benefits that we talked about earlier.
Right.
Our home's going to be more comfortable. We're going to have better, cleaner indoor air. All those great benefits.
That's super significant. And going from $12,000 for insulation and HVAC upgrades to just over $6,000, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure that can really make this more financially viable for anyone in this community.
And that's the moderate income example. So the low income example is even better.
Mm-hmm.
And, we encourage folks to get qualified for these programs. And learn about those enhanced low-income incentives. They're even better.
So we'd be talking about maybe upwards of $8,000-9,000 if we were qualified as low income.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan and I and the planning team, this work is happening right now.
Yeah.
It just turned on a few months ago, so the data is coming in, but it's coming in more so in like the front end. We're not fully through a lot of projects yet. So
Right.
for us, we want people to know that this is compelling for moderate income. It's compelling.
Oh, yeah.
It's compelling even for everybody is compelling, but for low income, it's extremely compelling.
For sure.
And it is a call for action, because this is an opportunity to just simply upgrade the home so you have lower energy costs from now till forever.
Yeah.
You could get that lower energy cost right now.
That's great.
Yeah, and I will add to the low-income projects. So we did a very extensive outreach and engagement, stakeholder session, an entire process. We went around the state, engaged with contractors and customers and local governments, and we got a lot of feedback, and that was presented to the Public Service Commission in a number of choices they had in how these programs would be designed. The federal government had a certain set of kind of default values, and here in Wisconsin, we actually opted to increase the project cost cap, the percent of the project, and also the individual rebate caps for low-income households. So we heard pretty loudly and clearly that those folks do need some more support, and so Wisconsin was able to increase that. And so again, for the low-income home, you can take advantage of the IRA programs. You can also still take advantage of Focus on Energy programs. And if you have a tax burden, that is the key for claiming a tax credit. You do need to owe taxes.
Mm-hmm.
They can also take advantage of that as well.
That's great. And since we're talking about caps, I think I read online that there's a couple of programs for the low-income qualified residents where the cap is 100% of the project cost. And so that means they could potentially get all the money back, depending on the upgrade, depending on
the situation.
Energy savings. Yeah.
I think our goal is to create an experience for the homeowner or the resident or the resident of Wisconsin where all opportunities are layered together.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it a compelling decision to move forward. Like, let's do this because all these things are here, ready to work together. Let's get it done. And then we move on to the next house. Go to the next house,
Definitely.
We got to do all these houses. We got a lot of houses to do. I mean, we got a lot of work ahead of us.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah. So, all right, we've been talking about low-income community members. And I know a larger portion of our low-income community members here, at least in Sun Prairie, they rent. They don't own a house.
Yeah.
So can you maybe
That's fair.
speak to
Yes.
what they can get out of the homes program if they don't own their house and have control over, their water heater, their HVAC system?
Yeah. So here's any renter in Wisconsin, here's what you should consider. Speak to your landlord. Speak to your property owner. Speak to the management company. Speak to the folks who are managing the property. And say to them, hey, this program is open. It's open for multifamily residences as well. Go talk to the program. Get this place upgraded. Because, if you don't, I'm leaving. You don't have to put in that last part. But, you have leverage. As the renter, you have leverage. You are the customer. And you're basically saying to the owner of that property, the state has money to upgrade this residence and get a new water heater, upgrade the HVAC, put in the insulation where it needs to be. The state's got the money. Please go get it.
For sure.
Because, as the resident, that person wants to be able to have that improved living condition or living space, and the money's there. But the renter, when I say the resident who is renting cannot specifically initiate a project. It has to come from the entity for the building,
right.
Or they have to be in agreement on it. So it requires a conversation, and everyone, of course, has a different situation, depending on where you're living, or if it's a double, like a duplex, or if it's a multi-unit, 50 units, or whether it's 2 units. The same situation applies. Speak to the entity who would be involved in a project, make them aware of the program, and then together you can determine the right path for that property.
Yeah. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
and there are some great landlords out there.
Oh, yeah,
And there are
Yeah.
some not so great landlords out there. But in all cases, it's usually a business decision for them whether or not they want to upgrade something in their home, make an investment in the homes and properties that they're renting.
Right.
These homes programs and the HERE program too. I mean, there again is some significant dollars available, and really it's that property owner that is the one putting the investment into that property, and it benefits the tenants, right?
It does.
If
Yes.
they're going to have lower energy bills and they're going to be more
100%.
comfortable.
For sure.
But traditionally, maybe there hasn't always been that incentive there
Right.
for a property owner to go through with that upgrade. And this is a perennial problem that we've
It's a challenge.
energy efficiency programs deal with this nationwide, and there is no silver bullet except for can we entice the property owners a little bit more to make these improvements. And so, just like Joe was saying, talk to your property owners. If really we can just educate them,
Yeah.
and hopefully try to convince them that this is a good idea. And we're here to help with that too.
Yeah.
If you're a renter, talk to your property owner. Call our 1-800 number, which I've
Yeah,
got.
we
that.
should say that.
Yeah, I was going to say I've got that number here. It is 1-800.
I got it.
You got it?
I got it. 1-800-762-7077.
Great. And I'll put that in the show notes.
Thank you. I thought that was it, and then I figured I shouldn't
You
say it
got it.
without. I
No,
shouldn't
you-
say it without
you
looking.
had it.
Yeah.
Okay. So essentially with these larger multifamily housing upgrades, it's also a win-win because the landlord can benefit from the big rebates to make
Yeah.
their upfront costs, cheaper in the long run. And then the tenants hopefully will see big reductions in electricity bills, more comfort. I think that's great.
Yeah. It should be a win-win. And I
Yeah.
think that, what Dylan and I should probably just say is everybody's situation is different and unique. And, the reason the home energy assessment is necessary is because of that. And, even the concept of big energy reduction bill in your bill, or, hopefully that is the case
Yeah.
with all of this work. And that is the goal. Because ultimately what we're trying to reduce is the burden of energy costs
Right.
on households that it makes no sense that somebody would have to pay 50% of their income for energy.
No.
And when I say that, like gasoline is also in there too, transportation energy, obviously heating, cooling, and electricity. It's all the things.
Right.
It's burdensome.
It is, yeah. Yeah, this program, just thinking about it more, it really hits on the triple bottom line of sustainability. We see the environmental aspects, of course. If we're using less electricity, less gas, we'll have less emissions in our communities. And then we see these financial reductions on electricity bills, which is huge for financial sustainability. And then, like you said, the comfort levels of your home are going to be, more suitable. So I really just like how comprehensive this program is. So this entire time we've been talking about this homes rebate program that's available for Wisconsin residents. For listeners who do not live in Wisconsin, what should they be on the lookout for in terms of their state's energy efficiency rebate program?
There's a really easy way to do this. You could just Google the Department of Energy Home Energy Rebates map.
Oh.
And Department of Energy has a really nice webpage that they maintain and update weekly, which just tells you the status of your state. And you can start there because from there they'll link you directly to that office.
Okay.
So it's simple as that, really.
Awesome.
And there's other states that are open for business, just like Wisconsin,
Okay.
and many more that are coming online over the next few months.
Great.
Yeah, and I know a number of states, just like we did, stakeholder engagement and outreach. I know a number of other states are in that process as well. And so, keep an eye out, get on a listserv maybe of the State Energy Office, or if you know where the programs are running through and you want to participate or stay engaged, or that's definitely the place to do it. I have a feeling most states, I think it's actually a requirement that every state do at least one outreach session. So.
Okay, great. Well, I'll just tell our listeners from outside of Wisconsin, stay tuned, and I will link that map from DOE in the show notes. All right. Well, this has been a very insightful conversation. Thank you guys for your time. I feel like I know so much about the homes program now. I'm going to go home and talk to my landlord and share this program with them, see if they can do some upgrades. But do you have any concluding or final thoughts to share with the listeners?
Yeah, everyone is eligible for homes. So definitely check it out. Our website, focusonenergy.com, If you want to get to our IRA Home Energy Rebates landing page, there is a Rebates tab on the top bar. Open that up and then go all the way down to the bottom. It says IRA Home Energy Rebates, and that's going to bring you to our landing page. We've got information on homes, on here, the process, how to become a registered contractor, what the incentive levels are. So that's a great place to get started. If you're interested in just focus on energy in general, and or maybe homes down the road, or maybe in collaboration or coordination with the homes programs, if you just go to focusonenergy.com, there is a Get Started blue button up in the top right of the screen, and that's actually going to tell you. We ask for kind of 3 to 5 screener questions about income and size of a household, and that's going to actually tell you everything you're eligible for in Focus on Energy as well.
Wow.
And again, if the information you've given us says you probably are eligible for weatherization, we've got cards up there too that say utility bill assistance and weatherization program, and so really kind of just getting started on the journey. The last plug I'll make is always a good one, is our free Focus on Energy packs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't done any energy efficiency, we'll send you a free kit straight to your door, loaded with some energy efficiency stuff to start you on that journey. So tons of useful information. There's a lot of education stuff up on our website, and so definitely check it out.
Sweet.
And I'll just add that Focus also has a whole portfolio of business incentives, which
that's
we didn't
right.
really talk about at all today,
Yeah.
but I'm sure there's a lot of business, folks out there. Like, there's just so much for small business, medium, industrial, manufacturing. I mean, we really cover some wide ground in the business community. Agriculture is huge into we have a big offering for the agricultural programming, and we also serve like the municipalities.
Mm-hmm.
And we do a lot of programming with them at the university system, et cetera. So there are just a ton of opportunities with Focus on Energy. You can go to focusonenergy.com. That's the main landing page. It take you, any direction you want to go. I also wanted to mention a couple other quick, exciting Wisconsin things. And
Sure.
I could probably sit here for an hour and talk about the exciting Wisconsin projects that are happening right now. But a couple things I wanted to mention is that the state of Wisconsin was awarded the Solar for All grant from the EPA, and that programming is getting stood up now. And I'm not quite sure the exact timeline, but if someone was interested, they could very easily search Wisconsin Solar for All, find the landing page. The Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, WEDC, is the lead entity on that work. So pay attention to that, because that's coming sometime next year, most likely. And then there's also work that WEDC is doing on the Green Innovation Fund, which in the future will hopefully be Wisconsin's Green Bank. That's the vision. There's
Excited for that one.
Yeah, and that's going to be big. And that one is a work in progress. So, it's not like it's open for business right now, but it is a work in progress. If you're a stakeholder who might be interested in that work, again, you can find that online, just the Green Innovation Fund. And then, I do want to just conclude by saying that our Wisconsin utilities are really bringing it, like big time. There are some really exciting things happening in Wisconsin from the utilities. Like, the utilities are bringing innovation. And there are countless stories we could talk about, but, a number of our utilities have been awarded by the Department of Energy, federal funding coming from either the IRA or the IIJA, which was the infrastructure law passed in November 21. And our utilities have gone after these opportunities and gotten really aggressive and really intelligent. There's just so many exciting things.
Yeah.
And I think we're a hotbed for innovation in the energy sector. Like, let's go get it.
I feel like we're just getting started. I was like, the homes, it's like our biggest step so far. It's our last step for the time being. No, there's so many other programs.
There's more.
Wow, that's amazing. And covering like such a big field, solar, business incentives, the Green Bank, this is amazing. I am super excited for all of this. All right, well, thank you both for your time today. This has been delightful, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Sustainable Sun Prairie with your host, Rose Daly. I hope you enjoyed this episode and uncovered something new about sustainability. As always, you can subscribe to our podcast and listen anytime on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and you can listen live on 103.5 FM The Sun, WLSP-LP, and on demand on the Sun Prairie Media Center app. For links and resources mentioned in this episode, as well as our contact info, please visit the show notes. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.